No site is off the table for a Las Vegas home for the Oakland A's. According to those involved in the deal, there's still debate about the best site for a ballpark. This is the frontrunner right here, the Tropicana Hotel and Resort. The A's are still finalizing the purchase of this iconic property. Also on the table, the old Wild Wild West site that's off the 15. The A's bought that land several weeks ago. Well, many of you keep asking, why is there no set site yet? A policy analyst who's working the project says until something's in writing in the form of a bill, the team and lawmakers will keep weighing the cost and pros and cons.
We want this to be good, not only for the A's, we want it to be good for the community as a whole. And so making sure that it works for all of those parties. And if we can't get that done, we don't have a deal.
Jeremy Aguero of Applied Analysis is deep in negotiations to get a bill before lawmakers to create a tax district for the team. Wednesday, he tells Fox 5, there are benefits to different sites. The Oakland A's have looked at 4. The Rio has been off the table for some time. Very recent renewed discussions with Phil Ruffin of Circus for the Las Vegas Festival site did not move forward. Still in play, the Wild Wild West site off the 15, and the Tropicana Resort is the frontrunner. The large empty plot west of the 15 would have space for an entertainment district and ballpark. The A's request $500 million in public financing to make a ballpark happen here. In contrast, the Tropicana site would have a standalone ballpark only. Costs less, would require less public financing, and have strip access. Why would the A's and locals want a stadium on the Strip? Aguero says it would be a great experience for locals and visitors with access to all the world-class entertainment. How would fans get there? Aguero says there would be heavy emphasis on pedestrian access and rideshare options, some parking, and integration with the future Las Vegas Loop. NDOT says the A's have not reached out to work out transportation just yet, but says NDOT looks forward to working with all parties involved to assess the potential impacts to this busy corridor and determine how the proposed stadium can fit into the valley's transportation infrastructure in a safe and effective manner. RTC says, we welcome the Oakland Athletics and look forward to working with everyone involved to support a smooth integration into our growing transportation infrastructure.
The A's and Southern Nevada are going to be heavily aligned in a desire to make sure that this particular stadium is productive and that they put an outstanding product on the field.
So when could we all see a bill? Aguero says there's a lot of work to be done over the weekend. The session ends on May 26. For more on the A's proposed tax district and why lawmakers say it won't cost taxpayers any money, read the guide in this article on our website, fox5vegas.com.